Hi YouTube, Bane here. When talking to feminists online they often bring up rape statistics. Sometimes they quote 1 in 6, sometimes it's 1 in 4, and then there is what is becoming more common, 1 in 3. In a previous video I speculated that I think the 1 in 3 quote comes from the United Nations 1 in 3 Women campaign. This campaign states that 1 in 3 women worldwide will be the victim of either sexual or physical assault. Two important points here. The first one is that the campaign is worldwide. The second is that it does not just include rape but physical assault as well. These 2 points are very important, because I am now seeing the claim that 1 in 3 American women will be the victim of rape. And it's not just your average online feminist who has misread the odd statistic, because I recently heard this quote from feminist legal scholar Patricia Williams in a video called Keynote Panel, Gender and Women's Studies, UC Berkeley.
But this new kind of vigilante feminism that has ultimately, become embodied in people like Sarah Palin, sort of the Thelma and Louise variety of feminism, that actually, justifies a kind of that coalesces an element of rage and loss that accompanies, I think, the amount of trauma that really reflects, I think, the trauma of 1 in 3 women having experienced rape in this country, but our lack of legal, prosecutorial, police response to that allows, again, this sense of American vengeance that, I think that's some part of the identity of what made or makes someone like Sarah Palin or Michelle Bachmann, these no-nonsense, pistol-packing mamas that would, sort of have a Lorena Bobbitt moment and would be cheered in the conduct of their behavior.
Let me play that again.
I think the trauma of 1 in 3 women having experienced rape in this country, I think the trauma of 1 in 3 women having experienced rape in this country.
You just heard her say that 1 in 3 women in America have experienced rape. So I thought, to be fair, that I should try to track down the origins of this statistic. After all, maybe it did not come from the United Nations campaign, maybe there was some other study somewhere which came to this figure. So I started my search. I found many websites that quoted the 1 in 3 women worldwide will be raped statistic, but none of them had citations of where they got the statistic from. I also found many that quoted the 1 in 3 American women will be raped statistic, but once again, none of them had citations of where they got the statistic from. Apart from one. It clearly stated that 1 in 3 American women will be sexually abused in their lifetime, and gave the source as George Mason University, Worldwide Sexual Assault Statistics, 2005. Please note that they claimed 1 in 3 American women, because when I tracked down the George Mason University, Worldwide Sexual Assault Statistics, it clearly states that 1 out of 3 women worldwide has experienced rape or sexual assault. Is it not interesting how worldwide is transformed into American? Clearly there is a big difference between a worldwide statistic and a statistic which is American-specific. But is the George Mason University statistic correct? Because 1 in 3 worldwide is still very bad, right? And after all, some websites had quoted 1 in 3 worldwide. Luckily the George Mason University stats had a citation. It led me to the World Bank website. It clearly states, worldwide, an estimated 1 in 3 women will be physically or sexually abused, and 1 in 5 will experience rape or attempted rape in their lifetime. So let's examine what we have so far. We start with 1 in 3 women worldwide will experience sexual or physical violence in their lifetime. This is then transformed into 1 in 3 women worldwide will be raped in their lifetime. This is then transformed yet again into 1 in 3 women in America will be raped in their lifetime. When in actual fact the real statistic is 1 in 5 women worldwide will experience rape or attempted rape in their lifetime. There is a massive difference between 1 in 5 worldwide, rape or attempted rape. And 1 in 3 in America will be raped. I remember earlier this year there was a meme making its way around Facebook. It quoted the statistics for rape convictions. Someone pointed out that the statistics were wrong. He was told by the poster of the meme that it did not matter if the statistics were wrong, so long as it got the message out about rape. This is the height of idiocy. If your statistics are wrong, it causes people to question the validity of your claim. False rape statistics do not help rape victims, they only serve to discredit the person making the claim. And why would you need to make up false statistics if your cause is justified? Are you not just spreading fear? But generally speaking, these stats are used to demonize men, and portray females as always the victim, allowing the claimant to demand special treatment or condemn those with a different point of view. They are essentially using rape victims as a political bargaining chip. And let's look at this logically, if 1 in 3 American women are being raped in their lifetime, they should be moving overseas, because it would make America one of the most dangerous countries in the world, and I honestly do not see that being the case.
And there are bound to be some mistakes, and I can imagine someone saying, oh, well, there she goes again, just citing some errors. Everybody makes errors. Well, what I have found, and other researchers, is we're not talking about a few errors. We're not talking about occasional lapses. We are talking about a body of egregiously false information at the heart of the domestic violence movement. False claims are pervasive. False claims are not the exception, they're the rule. Now, I don't have time to go through the long, sorry, twisted story about all the misinformation, excuse the pun, but just a couple of examples. Consider this passage. It opens the leading textbook on domestic violence. It's called Domestic Violence Law, Thompson Press. It's used in law schools around the country. Law schools. Not even undergraduates are given this information. It's law students. Quote, the history of women's abuse began 2,700 years ago in the year 753 BC. It was during the reign of Romulus of Rome that wife abuse was accepted and condoned under the laws of chastisement. The laws permitted a man to beat his wife with a rod or switch so long as the circumference was no greater than the girth of the base of the man's right thumb. The law became known as the rule of thumb. These laws established a tradition which was perpetuated in English common law in most of Europe. Now, where to begin with this paragraph? How about the fact that Romulus of Rome never existed? He is a figure in Roman mythology, nursed by son of Mars and nursed by a wolf. And then he killed his brother and so forth. And Rome was founded. It's so absurd. It's sad. Point 2, the phrase rule of thumb did not originate with the law of wife beating. Just go to the OED or just type in rule of thumb, urban legends. And even feminist professors, law professors admit there's no such law. It's just one of these things, that's urban legends again. If you read further on in the classic textbook in law schools, a few pages later it says, and students read this, according to the March of Dimes, men beating their pregnant wives or girlfriends is a leading cause of birth defects. Oh, and also this hardy perennial. Between 20 and 35% of women seeking medical care in emergency rooms are there because of domestic violence. For the record, there is no March of Dimes studies. I called up Richard Levitt, who's the director of science information of the March of Dimes, and he gets very upset. He says, this is a total error on the part of that author. There was no such study. He told me this myth has been around for years. They can't correct it. It's out there. It cannot be withdrawn, even though it's false. The fact that it's false seems to be no reason. It doesn't discredit it in the minds of many people.